We've discussed the feeder. As the crop mat leaves the feeder, it enters into our transition cone. Our transition cone serves as like threads on a bolt. It has a vane inside of it, has several of them. As the crop feeds through, the resistance of this vane and the material turning threads the material through the combine. Before crop season and even during crop season, we need to look at our transition cone and inspect it for wear. As the transition cone wears, the first place we will get a hole will be on the right side here in the middle of the transition cone. You can remove the right concave and reach around inside the transition cone and feel for that wear. If we find a hole in our transition cone, we have some options. We can replace the cone. If we replace the cone, it comes in 3 options. It comes in a standard wear, an extended wear, or a chrome. We have some other lower cost solutions. Just talk to your local parts department. The next thing we want to discuss is rotor wear. So if you remove your concave from your combine where you can view your rotor, generally our rotor wears more at the front than it does at the rear. We have these rasp bar segments on the rotor. You want to make sure all are in place, everything is tight, you don't have any chippage or damage. I have a couple of rasp bars that I'd like to show you. This rasp bar here is a worn out rasp bar. As you can see, the bolt is very worn. It looks like it's going to be tough to get out. That is a good sign that your rasp bars are worn out. As you can see with the new rasp bar and the bolt, you've got a lot of wear there. You can still read the numbers on the bolt. That's a sign that you still have a good rasp bar. There are vanes located in the rotor cage. A very important vane is right in this area where my left hand is. There's a vane there that tends to get torn out, and when it gets torn out, crop stalls in this area and it causes excessive wear. These are flat separator bars. We install those for different field conditions. They're generally toward the back, middle to the back of the rotor. In other conditions, we have a rasp bar with a spike on it. This is used to tear the crop mat up in green conditions. If you have any questions about that, contact your local service department.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the left-hand side of a rotor. Some of the adjustments we have to do is the concave stops. We will adjust those whenever we change concaves, change rasp bars, or if we were to put spike tooth rasp bars, we would have to do a lot of adjustment on our concave stops. What we would do is back them all the way off, run them up till they hit the rotor, back it off enough it spins freely, and at that point we'll adjust the stops down to where it won't allow the concaves to go up and hit. At that point, we'll go in the cab and on our Pro 700, we'll go in under calibration, and there will be a concave calibration, and we would go through that automated procedure, and those steps will be set out on the screen and it'll tell you step by step what to do. And it's automated procedure, and you just turn it on and it does it itself, and when it's done, it's done. Okay, next we will talk about our rotor speed selector. It's a good idea just once a week to come down here and shift it so that it doesn't stick in one gear and bind up. When we choose our rotor speed, a rough rule of thumb is first gear for corn, second gear for soybeans, third gear for wheat, but that's not 100%. What you'll want to do is you will want to choose your gear where you're not in the lower end of the speed range for maximum torque. If you run it on the lower end of the speed range, it's prone to plugging, so run it toward the upper end. And next we're going to talk about the grain pan. The grain pan up underneath the rotor it's where the cleaning begins. It shakes, it helps separate the fine material from a grain before it ever gets to the screens. One of the things that we look for on our cleaning system or grain pan is material buildup. You get moisture in there, material cakes up, builds up, and this needs to be knocked out from time to time so this grain pan can do its job like it's supposed to. You also look at the bolts that hold the grain pan in and make sure you're not developing cracks in that area around the bolt heads. If you catch it early, you can weld them up and not have to do any major parts replacement.